Welcome to CH-AI Brews, your go-to podcast for all things AI at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. I'm your host, Daniel Duggin, with a bachelor's in computer science pursuing a master's in computer science. In each episode, we'll talk about the ways AI is revolutionizing education. We'll explore how AI is transforming teaching, learning, and our community. Whether you're a student, an educator, or simply curious about the future of learning, this podcast is for you.
So I'm Tasia Malakasis. I'm in the CEO of CoLab, or better known as the Company Lab, here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So just as a quick history, so CoLab's been around for about 15 years in the community. We started as an organization that was meant to be supportive of new businesses, primarily in one particular geography of the city, which was a Main Street revitalization. And we spun out of that, which was called Create Here, and took over that 501c3, and that's when CoLab was born. And we are an entrepreneurial support organization, and we focus primarily in two different areas. So we have a start team and what we call a scale team. So if you're just getting your business started, so from ideation to business creation, we have tools for you for that: access to capital, access to programming, access to mentorship and connections and so forth. And similarly, on the scale side, we have different products and support systems for companies that are already post-revenue and they're ready to take their business to the next level and scale that. In particular, on the scale side, we have a very focused, programmatic focus on what we're calling sustainable mobility. And the way we define sustainable mobility is the future forward movement of people, goods, energy, and data. And we are levering the resources that exist in Chattanooga for startups to come here and work. One of those happens to be UTC's Center for Urban Informatics and Progress. And just off this campus, there's the largest test bed for connected autonomous vehicles. And we bring startups in to work on that, improve their solutions, and also give back to the community too with any IP that's developed here.
Awesome. So you had mentioned just now autonomous vehicles, and you mentioned programming and other training. Has AI been present in any of those three fields or a factor in any other fields you guys have, such as lab operations or scaling businesses like you had mentioned?
Yeah, 100%, particularly in the sustainable mobility space. So if you think about what the future forward movement of people, goods, energy, and data means, so that's really autonomous transportation, both public and private, and then also on the goods sector too. So autonomous and electrification of that travel is AI is a part of every single piece of that. So of the two cohorts that we have hosted thus far, a majority of those are using AI in some form or fashion to improve their solution in those categories. So it's a big part.
One thing I did want to ask was, you had mentioned, since we've been talking about autonomous vehicles, I know UTC had a project where they were looking at and analyzing the traffic on MLK here downtown. Do y'all have anything to do with that, or have y'all been brought in to get ideas or develop anything?
Yeah, 100%.
Project?
Yes, so we're partnered with, and that's the group that I mentioned earlier, the Center for Urban Informatics and Progress, run by Dr. Mina Sartipi. And that corridor, that smart corridor, is on Martin Luther King. So they're doing all kinds of testing, and it's mostly vehicle-to-vehicle sorts of connected autonomous technologies, or vehicle, there's V2X, which is vehicle to everything, so vehicle to grid, vehicle to lights, and so forth. And yes, so we are partnered on that. The research side is absolutely robust and is here on campus, and we simply are looking for innovators and startups who have solutions that can advance that research and then take that to the point of commercialization, meaning there's business applications for it outside of the research sphere.
Can you take us behind the scenes of that and maybe some of the development process? You don't have to be too technical with it, but some of the development process and how you saw students working with these tools for autonomous vehicles in general, and then analyzing traffic.
I'm not half as smart as Dr. Sartipi is about all of these things, or the students that she works with. But as I understand, what's happening, they're collecting all kinds of data: traffic patterns, pedestrian movement, what's happening at certain lights, where speeds are higher than others, where are there intersections or places where accidents are more prone to happen. And then they can take those data sets then and train some of these models to say, okay, if I see, because I have LiDAR cameras on my intersections, if I see a pedestrian that may have be in a wheelchair. If they need more time crossing the road, what happens there? So if you shift those lights, you can program the model so that you can identify certain things, and you can shift the pattern of the light to give someone, as an example, more time to cross the road. Then what happens, though, you think about the compounding effect of that. If I've just made this light last longer because someone needs to, has more time to travel, what happens with the lights behind me and behind that and behind that? So there are, because all of the data that's collected, they can take that and then train these models to make good decisions that are helpful for drivers, for pedestrians, for businesses, et cetera. And it's a fascinating product. In fact, COIP just had a conference this week called Chattanooga Connect, and people were here from all over the world who really know about Dr. Sartipi's work on this corridor and coming to talk about the advancement of that. And again, AI is at the heart of all of that advancement. And when you think about, what does it take to be a connected autonomous vehicle? You have to have those pieces built into the software in your car. It's in your phone. There was a group that was at Chattanooga Connect, and they were making bicycles that have a way to communicate to traffic lights and to cars and to other people. So we're getting smarter, and we're becoming safer. And that's the biggest piece of this, that work that Dr. Sartipi is doing is really about safety of drivers and safety of pedestrians. And how do we create, as part of what some of these technologies is called smart city. It's part of these smart city foundations.
Is there any dream project that you personally would like to see the company lab work on with AI, or maybe not with AI, but something along those lines? Is there a dream project that you have in mind that you would want to tackle?
Well, what I'm most fascinated about, and this is absolutely at the center of Chattanooga, is that we have world-class resources like the Smart Corridor or the quantum network at EPB, or the fact that we're producing battery technologies here with Nivonics, and we have Volkswagen's battery lab. All of those pieces in aggregate add up to something that's really unique for Chattanooga, and the advancement of all of that is what is very exciting for me, and which is why we're focusing on that at CoLab. So we're bringing in companies from all over the world to work on these technologies to do three things predominantly: to be supportive of those startups, to be supportive of our partners, our research partners and our corporate partners and our government partners here, and then also to take that technology and then make it work in our own community. So, for instance, if we bring in a startup that is advancing, autonomous technologies, and we develop some of that intellectual property here, wouldn't it then be cool that if we had autonomous technology that can get people who don't have cars to living wage jobs, right? So how do we then eat our cooking? And that's what's exciting to me.
Is AI something that you're asked about by entrepreneurs or prospective startups that are already in or considering to migrate to Chattanooga?
I feel like it's that they know that, and they're bringing that technology to their innovations into their space. So it's almost like that the startups are well more versed in this field than what we're able to. If you were going to put us in a situation of being sort of the educator, they're coming to the table with very creative solutions that are using AI.
So do you think that's starting to become a skill set that workforces such as UTC and what you do at CoLab and just in Chattanooga in general, do you think that skill set's going to be very important going forward within maybe the next 2 to 5 to 10 years?
Without a doubt, 100%. So I feel like AI is going to penetrate almost every industry, and you're not really going to be able to separate innovation out from AI. It's going to be a part of advancing just almost all of our technologies.
And do you have any advice pertaining to AI for any entry-level or soon to enter the workforce for people that maybe are looking at jobs in Chattanooga or looking to move into a new career field here?
Yeah, I think as much as you can for students, is just to learn about AI and how you can apply that in whatever particular field of interest that you have. So if that's in business, it could be even in medicine, or if in engineering. As I mentioned, I think AI is going to be a large part in almost every industry that is advancing. I don't know how we separate anything out from AI at this point.
One thing I definitely wanted to talk about was, how do you see larger companies creating trust and comfort with AI technologies, whether it's autonomous vehicles, robots, or just, tools like ChatGPT in general?
So I think there's a lot of fear around AI, and you hear these really scary stories, right? Like it's that computers are going to become sentient and they're going to think and eradicate humankind. I don't necessarily buy into that concept. I'm not saying that it's not dangerous. Every new technology is dangerous. Just as my stepdad was a rocket scientist at NASA for 40-something years, and one of the things that I heard him often say is, you're just as proportionate as for something technology is good, you have the same proportionate for that to be bad. Think about nuclear power, right? It's clean and it's a great source of power, but it also can kill you, right? So every technology has pros and cons and pluses and minuses. I think from my perspective, and I'm not the expert, but my perspective is that the good in some cases, if we're responsible for it, and to your point, can we trust it, that the good outweighs the bad.
A lot of people think that AI is here to take jobs and replace us. With the research you do and the work you do you see it creating more jobs than it takes away?
I don't think, every time, historically, if you look back, every time there's a new technology, there is that fear. It's going to take my job. In fact, when during the first industrial revolution, and we had machines making things for us for the first time, aided by people, right? Not the kind of robotic machines that we have today. There have even been riots where they were destroying the machines, they were closing the plants down because they didn't want their jobs to be taken. And that always ends up being, historically, more jobs are created than there are jobs that are lost. What I think will happen, I don't think anybody got upset when the dishwasher was created, right? That job, but it will make there are instances like the silly analogy I made of the dishwasher where our life will get easier because of it. So the task will not be as, and I don't know if this is the right word, menial, but that we can elevate some of our workforce in different ways. So I'm more bullish on the pros than I am skittish on the negatives.
Is there anything you have going on, whether it's a skills workshop or anything related to that you would like to talk about or promote?
Well, the thing that I would mention about that is that we're just very proud to partner with UTC on some of the AI training, and other technical skills training that we do for industry. Not necessarily, we're not teaching here, right? So you guys have amazing learning set up here for AI, but what we're doing is partnering with UTC to take that into industry and to, for old people like me, Daniel, to, so that we're up to speed with it.
This has been Tasia Malakasis, and I'm Daniel Duggin. Thanks for tuning in. The music in this podcast is by Blue Dot Sessions. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. You can find this and all episodes of CH-AI Brews at wutc.org/podlab or wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, keep learning and exploring the possibilities of AI.